Hey guys, what's up? Welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, my name is Brianna and this is at You Ready Bees YouTube channel. If you are one of my old timers and just coming back for a new video, thank you guys so much for being here. So today is going to be a different kind of video. I try not to do a whole bunch of talking videos because I feel like maybe people don't really listen to it, but I downloaded YouTube Studio on my phone because I felt like I was missing the comments and commentary and everything on my YouTube, on my vlogs. And so when I downloaded and I looked, it was just so many comments. And I was like, okay, I know these people probably think like I'm a ghost, like I'm just making videos and not really responding. And that wasn't the case. I just wasn't getting the notifications. So I went through every comment. I tried to respond to everyone, at least heart it or something. And what I learned from the comments is that there's a lot of videos that you guys requested that I haven't done. And so I wanted to start off doing a new video today for a lot of requests that you guys had in the comments from a video I did about 8 months ago. So it was like Walden versus Chamberlain, and it was just basically detailing my experience from Chamberlain and how I got dismissed and I tried to appeal and they didn't even respond and me wasting money at that place. And then my transition to Walden and how that has been so different. And since I've been like super engrossed in the program, now I can really give you guys a good review on Walden University and some pros and cons and the things that I kind of feel about the university as a whole, because I am currently still a student. So before we jump into all of that, please guys, go ahead and tap that bell so that you can get alerts about new videos. Subscribe, like, share, all that stuff. Share with your family and friends. And let's get right into it. So I ended up having to take the summer off. So the reason why I had to take the summer off is because coronavirus is still a thing. And a lot of people's clinical rotations are being canceled in the hospitals, even in private practices, because they don't feel safe having the extra traffic in and out of the hospital or in and out of their private practices, which I get. So I did my primary care rotation already. That was in the spring, and that kind of even got messed up. I ended up having to do we were allowed to do 48 CEUs. Good thing I was already like in clinical and getting a lot of hours. So I did those, and I ended up, when the school told us that we can go back, because they had to sign a waiver basically saying we know the risk, which I thought was a smart idea, because a lot of people who are in the FNP program or DNP, whatever the case may be, they are working. I'm actively working. I'm a full-time nurse, so I'm already putting myself at risk at work. So if I want to get through my program and I want to put myself at risk at clinical, that should be my prerogative. So what they did was have us sign a waiver, which I signed, and I went back to my clinical site in the springtime and finished up the rest of my hours. So with my direct care hours and my CEUs, those totaling, I only ended up having to do about 45 more hours of clinical, so I got really lucky. However, my 48 CEUs do not count towards the direct care hours that you need to sit for your board certification. So it's like, it was a good alternative, but also it benefited us because it got me through the class, but it doesn't benefit the adding to the hours. However, we had to do 160 clinical hours, and so by the time I do 2 more rotations, I will have the direct care hours anyways. So for me, it just worked out. So I'll just start by saying I started Walden last year in April, so it'll be a whole year and some change that I've been there. And from jump, when I reached out to them, said that I was interested, they had a student advisor call me, set up an appointment with me just to see what it is that I would need, where am I coming from, Do you have classes that are transfer over? All of these types of things. And I thought that was really great because the lady was really warm. She was all about helping me, whatever I could do. They do kind of get a little overbearing because they want to try to get people in and get them started. You know how online schools are. So they're like, oh, can you start this time? Can you start this time? Can you start this time? And a lot of people that I've referred say, you know, like they get too many calls of like, oh, we have some openings, you can start this time, you can start this time. I got lucky because the semester was already closed, so I couldn't start until April, which is great for me because I was able to have some time off, about 3 months, so that I can get myself together, pick myself up, dust myself off from, you know, what happened at Chamberlain. So anyway, the student advisor, she got me all set up. I sent her a transcript of mine because I wanted to see which classes would transfer over. Unfortunately, there were 2 classes that would have transferred over, but Walden only takes classes that you have a B or better in. So not a B minus, a B or better. So please remember that, you know, when you're thinking about having classes transfer over. So I ended up having to take some classes that I've already taken. Like I finished advanced pharmacology. I had to take it a second time. I finished advanced health assessment, and those advanced classes don't transfer over either. So if you were already in the FNP program like me, you'll end up having to take those classes over. Good thing is I already had the knowledge, so it wasn't really hard for me, but it's a waste of money because I've already taken it. So those were some kinds of cons that I had to come into. Taking pharmacology over, I did that already. Taking patho over, I did that already. But because I got the B minuses and not a B, you know, it's a small detail, but they are very strict about you having a B and not a B minus or anything lower than that for it to transfer. I did have classes transfer over, which kind of cut my time in half. But I ended up adding time because I had to take the semester off because I didn't have a clinical rotation. For me, it was really important to keep my classes together because I get financial aid. And so if I would have taken them separate, then at the end I would have end up paying out of pocket, which I probably could have saved for. But, you know, I just felt like God was telling me to rest. So that's what I did. And I just took the whole semester off. So when I first got enrolled with Walden, like I said, they give you a student advisor. They check up on you at least once or twice a week, just making sure you have everything. When you first start with the bookstore access, they give you the bookstore access, the link. They also give you a $100 voucher, which I thought was great. You don't have to use the bookstore, but if you have a $100 voucher, why not? Now I've been doing things like renting my books offline if I'm not going to keep them, or if they're not things like certification books that would help me down the line with my board certification. Sometimes I rent them if I get them through the bookstore and they're a little cheaper, then great. So that's one of the things that I thought was awesome. Scholarships. They offer scholarships, but not for certain programs, which I was kind of disheartened about because I like to apply, because a lot of people don't apply for scholarships and it's just money out here waiting for people to come and pick it up. So when I inquired about their scholarships, I asked the student advisor that I had, and she was saying we do have those scholarships, but they're not for the students in the FNP program. And I just thought, wow, and why not? Because there was a nursing scholarship, but it wasn't for that program specifically. And I was kind of, I don't know, I felt a way about that because I just feel like if you're getting most of your enrollment from the nursing program and everybody who's in FNP or DNP or whatever it is, offer them something. So they really don't have scholarships for us to take up unless something has changed. But as far as I know, no scholarships for us. So it's either you pay out of pocket or financial aid if you can get it. My classes have gone smoothly. I have not had to register for my own classes. Those things are already pre-registered. And so those things are really great because I don't really have to worry about it. The classes are 11 weeks long, which I like better because Chamberlain's classes when I was there are 8 weeks and they're concurrent. So it's like You have 8 weeks for class, you end one class on Saturday, you're back in another class on Sunday. And that's just not, for me, doesn't create work-life balance. So I can't organize myself, get up, go to work, and do all of that when I had just ended a class on Saturday and now I have to start another class on Sunday. It just wasn't, it wasn't enough time. Those extra 3 weeks give me enough time, and they also give you 2 weeks in between the courses. So it's an 11-week course. Once you're done, you get 2 weeks break, and then you're back to the 11-week courses. So I feel like that's more of a work-life balance for people who don't have any choice but to work, because you have a break. I have a break to decompress, let it all out, come back to the drawing board, and start my new class. So I think that that's awesome. I haven't had any issues with my professors. All of them have been great. And I was going to try to remember all of the professors that I had, but I probably won't. I know that I had Nathan Wende for pharmacology. I had Dr. F. His name was like Frank Aparte or something like that for advanced patho. And I can't remember what my other professors were, but though they were all great. I haven't had any issues or anything like that. Now, some professors are slow graders, but you have to remember that their policy at Walden is they have 10 days to grade it from the day that it's due. So there was a lot of times where we was in week 4 and week 5, and I didn't have, grades from week 2 or week 3. And it's just something to be patient about, because as soon as you email them and say, hey, I don't have a grade, if it's within that 10-day period, you could just forget it. Like, they're going to cite the policy and you're just going to have to wait. Now, if it's 11 days and you email them, okay, sis, I need a grade, or okay, bro, I need a grade, that's understandable, but the policy is what the policy is. I like Walden because they have a community. I know that people don't really like online classes or online schools because they feel like they don't have the support, but Walden has groups for every class on Facebook. I have literally met people in my classes who I just only seen their name, but now with Facebook I get to see their face. And I will put the link down in the description box for all of the ones that I'm a part of right now. I mean, you have to, send your enrollment, proof of enrollment or whatever, and a picture of your portal or something like that, so that they know that you're a Walden student. But they have like one general Walden group, and then they have a group for each different classes. And these people are just full of information. You get in there, you have a question about something, about 20 to 30 people are responding. It could be more than that. Things about certification. What did you guys use for studying? Syllabus. So if you're not in that class yet, but you're trying to get an early start, syllabus is always there. Grading policy is always there. The calendars that people create to keep everything in balance, those are always there. So I think that that's a great thing, and I think that's what's helped me out, is because when you don't have anybody to ask, it's like, okay, well, am I supposed to ask my teacher, and then I gotta wait 48 hours for them to respond. But now you have a classroom outside of a classroom on Facebook, and I think that's amazing, and I'm glad that they do that. They also email you about Facebook. It's like, oh, get involved on Facebook, blah blah blah, all this other stuff. And so I think that that's awesome. I've also had a couple of opportunities to be a part of organizations that I never knew about while I was at Chamberlain. So I've gotten emails. I'm now a part of the Nursing Honor Society. They emailed me about interest, and I definitely jumped on it. I also am a part of the National Leadership, and I forget what the rest of the name is. Anyways, but I'm a part of that as well because they emailed me and showed interest as well. So I think that those are all great opportunities because one, you have the opportunity to be a part of a community, but also these are resume builders. You get resources from them. You get to go to conferences or virtual conferences, whatever it is right now, you get to go. So, I'm sure you have to pay or whatever, but they have, books and virtual conferences where you can get speakers and all of that stuff. And I think those are all great opportunities of things that you can build yourself, professional development, and beyond your career, you always have these communities and these resources that you can use. So I think that that's awesome. A couple of other things that I like with Walden is that if you need help, they have a support on your student portal. They have a support box where you can get in touch with the field office for us because we have clinical. I think the library and some other options they have. But so they give you an option to chat instead of just calling, because we know that when it's enrollment time or people are trying to call to figure out about their accounts and their classes and why they're not registered, phone lines can be hard to get through. However, if you have the option to chat, it's a little bit easier, and that's pretty much how I communicate with them. Now, I don't ever need any help with anything except for the field office, and I'll get to that. But I think that that's a better, innovative way to be able to communicate, because it's a chat box and everybody doesn't like to sit on the phone and hold and wait and do all that. Some of us are at work, so sometimes when I have questions about things and I'm at work, I can use the chat box instead of trying to call because I can't step off the floor. So I think that is a great tool for you to use. Some cons that I have, and I don't really have many because like I said, Walden has made things very easy for me, and I really don't have any big issues. The only big issue that I have is like, we know what we are getting into when we choose schools that don't find our rotations for us. And I've said this about Chamberlain, and I have to say this about Walden too. They don't give enough help. At least with Walden, they give you affiliation lists. My thing is that Walden didn't do the work to find those sites. So what they do is if you're a student and you found your own site, if it's approved, it gets added to the affiliation list. So other students who have an issue finding preceptors, that site will be on the affiliation list, and it'll say, so, okay, example, I live in Maryland, right? So I reach out to the field officer and I say, hey, I'm having issues with trying to find a preceptor in my area. This is what area that I live in. They'll send me a list of all the preceptors that have ever been approved or was affiliated with Walden in the last however many years, a whole list for the state of Maryland. But those are not sites that they have found on their own. Those are sites that students themselves have found from doing the footwork. So I don't like that they take credit as if the list that was built is something that they did, because it's not anything that they did. It's something that students have done. They compiled a list. I like the fact that the list can be accessed for other students, because I will always share where I got my preceptor sites from, because I never want anybody to go through the stress and the anxiety and driving around to all these places with your resume that I went through. I would rather it be easier for someone else. They don't really give you a lot of guidance. They always give you these weird videos like, oh yeah, you can show up to the office. We know that. We know to show up in business attire or scrubs. Bring your resume, bring multiple copies just in case someone will want to sit down with you that day. It's just like a job interview. If you're not prepared, you'll fail. And that's just pretty much it. So they give you all of those videos about this is how you can do X, Y, Z, but those are all self-explanatory. Now, for some people who maybe it's not that easy for them to understand, the videos are helpful. But for me, I would never show up to some place and say, hey, I want to be a student here that does clinical, and they say you have your resume and I'm empty-handed. I would never do that, and I think that's just common sense for all adults who already got jobs. Just show up with your stuff so that you're prepared. You're not fumbling over yourself. So those are the only things that I've had a lot of issues with as far as the field office is concerned. Now, I like their field office way better than Chamberlain, because Chamberlain, the way that they do it is they assign somebody to your state. So it might be one or two people, and those are the only two people that you communicate with, which is backwards and very piss poor if you ask me. There are multiple people at Walden's field office, and you can go to their website and they have a list of people and their emails to tell you exactly what they do, so you know exactly who you need to speak to in reference to whatever your question may be. Now, if you chat with them on the chat box, you might get a general person, but they usually have the answers to your questions. I just don't like, with the pandemic and everything, and I know it's hard on both sides, but it was harder on students because it's like we have to sit out. We've already had trouble finding preceptors and sites to do clinicals. Now we don't have anything else, and some people are still not opening up their offices. What do we do? And they're like, I don't know. And so it just it's hard when you don't have the answers as a student, and then the person that you look to for guidance doesn't have the answers either. So that's kind of hard. But again, we try to give everybody grace because we don't have the answers, they don't have the answers, and they're trying to pick up and change the program and make it better for us as they go along, which probably takes a lot of time and a lot of effort. So I appreciate them for that. I just hate that they don't always have the answers, but we don't always have the answers either. So that's pretty much it. I do like that they have these Zoom calls. So recently, with all the stuff with the coronavirus and everything, they've had Zoom calls where they allow, I think they limit them to 100 students per Zoom call, but it's a couple that happens during the week. And they have it to where you can submit your questions early, you can submit your questions on the Zoom call, and sometimes you might not get to your question, but it might be a question that's similar. And these are like the directors and stuff like that, just detailing and trying to be transparent about what it is that they're doing in this climate to help us get through what we need to get through. And so I think that that's great. That's really pretty much it. So my review has a lot of pros. It doesn't have a lot of cons because I haven't had a lot of issues when it comes to Walden. Even with the clinical process in Castle Branch, which is one of the things that you have to do, and it maps out, you know, they keep your records, your shot records, your background check, whatever it is, they do all of that stuff. And even that was pretty straightforward. They have a video to walk you through everything. I would make sure that if you are a student at Walden, or you're going to be, and clinical is something that you're doing, that Castle Branch be something you keep up with, because if you don't keep up with them and something lapses and you have a pending application for clinical, they won't approve it until that is all done. And it takes Castle Branch about 2 business days to get through everything and approve it and then send it to the school, all this other stuff. So that is my review. I know this video was kind of long. I didn't intend it to be, but I kind of wanted to give you guys all the details. You can skip through if you like, but that is my review. I like being at Walden. I like the things that they have done to help students. Like in the pandemic, they have split the classes, so they split and instead of you having to take the clinical and didactic together, they split it up so that you can take the didactic so that you can still get through that portion. And if you don't have a preceptor or a clinical site, then you can take the clinical portion of it later when you do find it, which gives you a little bit more time. But for me, I wanted to stay and take them all together. I was supposed to graduate in February. I'm not graduating until May anymore, but thank God that I've been able to find all of my clinical sites, the last 3 that I need. So my graduation date is May 15th, 2021. Thank you, Lord. So thank you guys for watching this video. I really do appreciate you guys hanging in there with me with these long videos that I talk, but I went through the comments and I know that you guys wanted this video, so I wanted to produce it for you guys. Please like and subscribe, hit the bell for more notifications. I will put those Facebook groups in the description box for you so that you guys can follow along and see. I don't know if you're an outsider, if you won't be able to view the group, but you can see what I'm talking about when I talk about the Facebook groups for Walden. This next upcoming video that I'll be posting in a few weeks is going to be about how to find preceptors during coronavirus, some of the things and tactics that I've used. So I'm hoping that those will help you guys out. Thank you guys so much for watching. Thanks for rocking with me, and stay tuned for the next video.